Hey, what's up? What's up? This will be my first Facebook Live for just me. I've done this a few times, but a little bit nervous. Here we go. With all of my viewers, me. This is my background. Basically, what's my backstory, where I come from, why in the world am I doing this? Knowing that I'm a dyslexic child, or I've overcome dyslexia, and in fact, I didn't read my first book cover to cover until I was a senior in high school. Kind of ridiculous, right? But it's very interesting that when a mentor entered my life, it changed my life forever. Being able to take advice from someone, be able to do something a little bit differently, to end up with a massively different result is huge. Such a big deal. Well, I found myself in Hawaii. I took a job in Hawaii after several businesses. I was working and running different businesses, and some of them worked and some of them didn't. But I found myself in Hawaii, and I ended up coming across a couple of mentors, speaking mentors, giving me an opportunity to really grow my game and improve drastically in my ability to communicate with other people. And I met those folks through the Toastmasters organization. And it really had a huge and profound impact on my life. But we ended up deciding, these two mentors and I, we decided to start a business, and we were working hard, and we just weren't making any money. At the same time, the economy was turning in the wrong direction. And the biggest issue is that I ran out of money. And when you run out of money on the islands, you gotta go. So I ended up moving back to the mainland. Picture this, in Texas, in a 1-bedroom room in my brother-in-law's house with my 4 daughters and myself and my wife at the time. Ex-wife now, thanks for bringing it up. Appreciate it. And I've got to start over. And I thought, well, I can build this business during the day, and then maybe I'll just catch a job overnight, make some money overnight so that we at least have something coming in. And talk about a desperate man in a situation where I absolutely had to make more money. What kind of a provider am I if my daughters and I and my wife are all living in a 1-bedroom, my brother-in-law's house? Felt like a freeloader, just felt like a complete failure. We'll put it that way. So here we are. I go and I take this job at a major retailer, and I'm working for $8 an hour as an overnight stalker. An overnight freaking stalker. Can you believe that? Making $8 an hour. And I thought, you know what? I'm a chubby guy, because quite frankly, I've been sitting behind a desk for way too long. And I thought I'm gonna approach this a little bit differently than most people. I'm gonna show up and I'm gonna work my tail off, and I'm gonna sweat through my first shirt. Man, I can't afford a gym, so I may as well let this organization pay me to work out. And that's exactly what I did. I showed up and I sweat through my first shirt, I sweat through my second shirt, I sweat through my third shirt, and I'd go home a sweaty mess. Well, 2 months into this, and a position opened up, and I thought, man, I want that job. I want this promotion. And I asked my manager, I'm like, hey, I want that job. He's like, man, you've been here 2 months, Adams. What are you talking about? You can't have that job. I said, well, at least give me an interview. So I sat down and I started interviewing with this guy, and the interview I thought went really well. Well, I didn't hear anything a week later, didn't hear anything 2 weeks later. I'm like, hey, what's going on here? He said, well, going into this interview, you're an unknown quantity, but man, it was such a good interview. He says, I'm really torn between you and a guy that's been here 5 years. But Adams, I got to tell you, I got to give it to the guy who's been here 5 years. I'm thinking, well, at least everybody reserves the right to make the wrong decision, right? And that's you. However, immediately after that, he introduced me to daytime management, and I had an opportunity to go ahead and interview with them. And I wouldn't you know it, I got a department manager position, and that role just gave me a 10-cent an hour raise. 10 cents an hour raise. But I was had an opportunity to then teach and train other people. But at this point, I was still trying to decide, well, do I build this business during the day and still just kind of maybe even just work part-time? And a co-manager took me aside, my manager took me aside and said, look, you can have or do anything you want with this organization. You just have to decide what it is that you want. And I thought, wow, what an opportunity. I decided I was going to stake my flag. And I staked my flag there. And I just started doing exactly what I'd done before, teaching everybody on my team to do what it was that I was able to do. And as I continued to teach them, and as I continued to learn from my managers and ask a billion questions, I followed them around. I must have been like a little puppy dog or some crazy thing, because I just kept asking more and more questions. And they just keep teaching me more and more. And as I'd learn more, another position would open up. And I'm like, man, I want to apply for that job right there. And my store manager at the time, he's like, David, that's not your skill set. You have a unique skill set. And if you will give me 3 more months, I promise you, I will make you an assistant manager. And I thought, all right, 3 more months, man, I can do this. I stuck my head down and I just kept running for 3 more months. And I will tell you, if it weren't for partnering with my management team that was able to teach and educate and train and give me all the teaching that I could possibly get, I can't tell you how many times I was around the back of the building getting my behind handed to me because I wasn't doing certain things right or whatever. It didn't matter, man. It had a unique opportunity to get torn down, but yet built back up. Quit screwing around, Adams. You got this, but you got to do this, this, and this, right? Those types of things to make me better. And I will tell you that with that, I was able to continue to show up early, stay late. Man, he did make me an assistant manager. And I'll tell you what, the best part about it being a salaried member of management, man, you don't have to take days off anymore. And nobody can tell you when to show up and when you have to leave. It was fantastic. So I show up early, I'd stay late, I'd bust my tail while I was there. And then the most important thing was that I was working as hard on myself at home as I was working on my job. Automobile University, listen to audio tapes, videotapes, whatever it took to continue to grow while I was still trying to learn the job and bust my tail. But there was something, not just applying for jobs, but I reached a point where I didn't want to apply until my boss told me I was ready for whatever was next. So what ended up happening is I'd take that, and when my boss told me I was ready, I applied for another job. And this process continued, but what ended up happening is I had to sit down and go, okay, what do I really want? And in that moment, I sat down and I wrote down on a piece of paper, and I wrote down that I'd be a store manager in 5 years. That's insane. That is absolutely insane, but I wrote it down, and I wrote it down for a very good reason, because I knew, I'd learned a long time ago that if you want something in life, you have got to write that stuff down. You want it, write it down, and then go get it. Put your head down and run 100 miles an hour to get what you want. But along the way, you're going to find a lot of people that are naysayers, and I even had one of my managers tell me that I need to slow down because I was making everybody look bad. Are you kidding me? Slow down? You just made me fat. You just made me speed up. What is wrong with you? Slow down. I will tell you that individual came to me a couple years later and said, do you have any advice for me? I'm like, yeah, don't tell people to slow down. Just making you look good. Anyways, I digress just a little bit. But what ended up happening is when that manager pulled me aside and said, Adams, you've got to stake your flag if this is what you want. And then I made a decision that was exactly what I was going to do. And I will tell you that I did make it to store manager in 3 days before my 5-year mark. Kind of ridiculous, right? Ridiculous if you don't write it down. Ridiculous if you don't give everything you got to go for it. But you reach a certain point in time when the organization that you're working with and that you're growing with, sometimes you outgrow. Their values no longer match your values. A lot of times you reach a situation where you want to do it this way because that's everything that you ever learned, and everything you've ever known is to do it this way because people are people, and you got to treat people like you love them, right? And then all of a sudden over here they're like, man, you got to do what you got to do. Let them go. I'm thinking that's ridiculous. That is not how you lead people. That's not how you teach people. And with that being said, there came a point with this organization I had to part ways. And this just happened recently, just a couple weeks ago. And I will tell you that over the years, I've had many, many people look me in the eye and say, Adams, what in the world are you doing here? You are capable of doing so much more. And what you need to be doing is teaching people and helping people and really inspiring people to do more, be more, have more. And I thought, over the years, I'm thinking, yeah, you're absolutely right. I do need to do that, but I also need to provide. But I will tell you that once you reach that point where you can no longer continue with an organization, either you got to go or they got to go, But one of you has got to move on. And I have moved on, and this is what I'll be doing, and you will have the privilege of hearing from me every single day for the rest of my life, which means till I'm 100 years old. So you're either going to love me or you're going to hate me, but you're going to see me every single day. Brian Adams, thanks for being on here. Jose, thanks for watching. Helena, how you doing? Happy to have you. Ben, it's good to see you. So anyways, really what it comes down to is my passion is helping people, and that's exactly what I'm going to be doing. Working with folks every day, personal coaching and masterminds and getting together and just really helping people get to the next level of what they want in life. So I really appreciate you watching. I appreciate you being on here, and it will not be long, and we will be just join the journey with me. We're going to have a great time. And Brian, I'm very much forward to seeing you very shortly in the Grand Canyon as we hike that sucker. It's a pleasure to see y'all. Thank you.